Hopefully the presentation which I am showcasing to all of you should energize, because it has energized us from last 1 year, all of us. So in continuation to the HR portfolio, which Vivek has very comprehensively taken all of you through, and then we've had Tamal and some of the other speakers taking you through the other things that we do. I want all of you to kind of just pay your attention to the newest baby of the lot, right? Recruitment, outsourcing, and ELC management. So for most of you who have kind of already gone through the ELC life cycle earlier, just to make a little distinction, what we heard earlier, whatever demo we saw, that was the ELC management on the platform that we do for a lot of our customers through HRIS. However, we are going to talk about the services that we render in the ELC management space here, right? Where the process is being outsourced to us and we do the administration, etc., etc. So moving on, this is the vertical. So we'll just take you through the journey, how it has been since the time we began. Let's open the entire slide. I'll just take them through the entire piece. So we started our operations in recruitments in July 14. To me, if you ask me, recruitment is the easiest thing probably the easiest thing. I can stand corrected by Vivek if he wants to, but the easiest thing to start a conversation. It's more like a conversation starter, an icebreaker with your probable customer, that especially to all the BD folks, they can also add their experience to it. Whenever you sit with a customer,
but don't offer to place the person you're talking to.
Yeah, those are few unwritten rules, the caveats which all of us have to follow. So I think it happened a little late to us, if you ask me honestly. We started with lot bigger and complex things in the HR space a lot earlier. Thank goodness for that we did, which is why we are sitting where we are sitting today. But as they say, der aaye durust aaye. So recruitment is what we started last year, and so that's when we kind of thought to ourselves that this is the practice that we really want to invest in, because there is a lot of potential in this piece and it's probably underrated, at least in mind scheme of things, if you like. So that's when we brought in Nitin, who's sitting right there, Mr. Nitin Jain. I would request him to give a little introduction about himself. But before he do that, before he kind of takes everyone through, let me kind of give a brief about him. So he brings in about 12 to 15 years of work experience in managing the service delivery under the recruitment space, right? So he's worked with organizations like Randstad and some of the other players. So Nitin, just a very brief introduction, if you can just take everyone through.
Hi everyone. So I have around 12 plus years of experience from the talent acquisition core, talent acquisition. I started my career with Classic, which is one of the executive search firm, and moved on to the corporate exposure with the Spice Telecom Punjab. I was managing the entire talent acquisition for Punjab Circle for Spice before I took over. Based on my performance, I will move to one of the other group companies, which is Spice Digital, which is the value-added services arm of Spice Group. And then I move on to Randstad. So I was heading the ITS vertical for them. So I spent almost 2 years with them before I moved to Solutions Consulting Group, another executive search firm. Spent almost 4 years, and then I was part of CM International, which is a part of Portens Group, which is the largest one in UK and Europe. They are into the perm hiring and staffing model. I was the first person to be on board for them, setting up their entire operations in India before I was hired by Mind. So here I take care of the talent acquisition for external and internal.
Whenever you set up a practice, the core team is very important. It is important all the times, but especially when you're beginning something. So you need to have your subject matter experts in place. So Nitin came in, and not surprisingly, the first client that we signed up was Spice Digital. So he could immediately get us the breakthrough that in Spice. And we within 5 days, as we were very happily, we are kind of showing off that we did our first closure as well within Spice. So early inroads was very important. That kind of set us going. That kind of got the momentum that we required. And that's when we kind of moved on. We took up some interesting assignments. Burger King happened to be one of our very premium clients who came through a relationship, and they were in the process of setting up their stores in India, in Mumbai to begin with, and then in Delhi. So we got that assignment as a contingency turnkey assignment where they needed a quick turnaround on numbers. So out of 200 numbers, we did about 100 plus numbers for both Mumbai and for both Delhi in about 2 months. And they opened about 6 stores. So we were one of their preferred partners. That was another key project that got us going. Agilent happens to be one of our very premium customers with which we've had a long relationship. With Agilent, we started with their, running their payroll for their India operations. Then we took up compliances. Recruitment came as a byproduct. So we were already there with their HR team knew us. They saw our work. They had the confidence. So we went there. We told that, we'll do all this for you. So we just started doing recruitments also. So why don't we get that opportunity? So they were kind enough to give us that space. We started with their RPO for their contractual staffing. They call it ETW, Employee Temporary Worker. So we hire about 40 to 50 positions every month for them in that space. And from last 1 year, we are doing 1.5 years, we are doing that piece. And now we started with about 2 partners who were supporting them in that piece. One was mine and the other one was Randstad, which is like a reputed player in the organization. And after 1.5 years, I'm happy to announce that we have become the dominant partner there. So out of total requisitions which come in every month, we do about 80% of closures and 20% is done by Randstad. Whereas it was the other way around. Randstad was the only player. We'll talk more about it in our case study, which is there in further slides. So that was Agilent, and then we signed up with British Telecom as well. British Telecom, as we know, is doesn't need introduction. So they are looking to expand their operations in India for their back office, which supports the UK arm, for financial shared service center, for technology shared service center, for BPOPs, the captive BPO that they have. So they have about 2,100 numbers in this year to be recruited, and they were again looking to kind of sign up with about few selected premium vendors who can support, who bring in that experience of handling volumes, of handling the requirements, the functional requirements that they have. So we kind of put our foot in the door, and we said that this is what we are already doing for some of the customers, so why don't you give us an opportunity? And we cracked that. So today British Telecom happens to be one of our customers. We've already done about Nitin can correct me, but we've done about 50 closures in last 4 months for their captive BPO. So doing all that, this was just first year, and in the first year we started in July, so which essentially leaves us with about 8 months if I look at the financial year. So this was our 8 months performance for the financial year 14-15. We ended up with about 15 clients and generated a revenue of about 25 lakhs. From whatever numbers you've seen so far, this number looks minuscule, I know that. But we've just started. So all of us need to know that, in order to achieve miles, you need to take the first step. And you need to take it very nicely. Moving on, this has been our journey. This is how we started. So of course, if you have to cater to such bigger names, such complex needs, you need to have your fundamentals in order. You need to have a very strong delivery structure. because recruitment business is all about delivery. It's not like some of the other businesses where there's a fixed revenue which is going to come every month, irrespective of, obviously there are SLAs to be governed, but in recruitments you have to close positions and then you get paid, right? So if you don't close a position within a month, you get nothing. That's how it works. So which leaves us with a very fundamental point of ensuring that our delivery structure is very strong. So we have a team of about 15 odd recruiters which are currently there, who bring in a lot of industry experience. Like someone has an IT hiring experience, someone has a financial service center experience, someone has a telecom experience, etc., etc., etc. We'll talk about that in the org structure as we move along. So we did that. We set up our Bangalore team as well, because that's where a lot of volumes were coming. So we have about 2 recruiters there who are supporting the Bangalore needs. Brands, we got it because obviously whenever you start something, you need to have a mix. So if you want to compete with the likes of Randstad or with any other established players, you need to have bigger brands with you to reckon with. You need to have stronger case studies to showcase. So we did that. We cracked Wipro, we cracked Bharti. I already spoke about a few names earlier, British Telecom, etc., etc. So we have a good kitty of 5 to 6 good names, Times of India, in our repertoire. Then we decided to kind of go with an alternate strategy. That's when we targeted the startups. So we created a list of, and startups is essentially nothing but the e-commerce phenomenon which is there with us, which we can all see. So we created a list. Simply we did nothing. We got hold of a sales guy, one of your team members. We asked him to create a list of all startups which are there since 2014, which are well funded, which have regional pan-India presence, and which are kind of looking to obviously aggressively hire in the next few years. So that paid rich dividends for us to begin with, at least. So we've got hold of some good startups. We've signed up with Adornment, which is an e-commerce, which is a competitor of Urban Clap, if you've heard, which kind of arranges for your daily utilities. We signed up with Stitchwood, which is again a competitor of Urban Ladder, which is in the furniture business. So we got hold of some of these startups as an alternate strategy, other than our bigger names. RPO. Now, as a concerted effort of moving towards creating a kitty of exclusive business, other than the on and off kind of a business, which we keep on getting from a lot of our customers, we went into RPOs, because that's when you are one exclusive partner for, let's say, an agent, let's say any other client, and that kind of helps you to establish your footing more stronger in this space. So that's when we went out. We already had Agilent in our kitty, so we reached out to Times of India. They were looking out to outsource their pan-India hiring needs to an exclusive partner who brings that much of experience, who can handle volumes, who has the regional presence. Because they are Times of India, we all know, it's scattered across all over India, north, west, south, east. So that's when we cracked that. That happened to be one of our major breakthroughs. So we've signed up with them to do minimum of 150 positions in a year across all regions, scattered across sales, technology, backend, etc., and some of the corporate needs, requirements, other than their editorial piece, of course, which is their core business. So that has already fetched us. We've started very well in that. We've done about 15 lakhs already in first 3 months. We've closed about 25 plus positions in first 3 months.
How many people are there?
For Times of India, the people who are the delivery team, you mean? So we have a model at this point which is purely backend. So we don't have an on-site team there, because what we've told them that we will do a single window concept for you. So we'll have one relationship manager who will interact with you, who will travel to your place if required, and he'll be supported by a team of back-end recruiters. So there is a team of about 4 recruiters who are dedicated to this piece. 3 operate out of NCR, 1 operates out of Bangalore, because that's where their north and south is where they have major volumes. And 1 account manager who drives the reviews, who drives the performance, who travels. Let's say a couple of months back they had an expansion in Mumbai, in their Mumbai office. So that's when the account manager flew with a team member, and we actually conducted drives for that. And the target was to close about 20 positions in 2 days. I think we did about 15 odd, if I'm not wrong. So that's the model we've signed up. And of course, in a particular region, if they really scale up, that's when we can have an on-site resource deployed at their place. But so far they're comfortable with this model because it is working. So this is what we did in our first year. Now we have some targets to achieve, because we've started. Well begun is kind of half the job done. So you need to kind of look forward and see how you can improvise. So that's when we are looking to take some steps to strengthen our delivery. So we are automating our processes now. We are launching a recruitment software within this month, which would automate our complete delivery, which would automate the database that we operate upon, which would automate the performance. We can track the performance of each and all these 15 recruiters who are working on these assignments, and which kills duplicity, which helps in the branding, all the other good to have factors. So we are doing that. We have become the official member of NHRDM, which is a well recognized HR body, industry body, little subset of NASSCOM, if you like. So mine has become an institutional member. So every quarter they have some sessions which are being organized within Delhi, within Mumbai, within Bangalore. So we get to participate in that. So that gives us an opportunity to enhance on our knowledge, and to bring on the network, to build on the network, target the HR heads and the talent acquisition heads who attend those sessions, right? Few BD folks will also be requested to kind of participate in that as we go along. And then after having done recruitment reasonably well, after having started reasonably well, we started venturing on to other avenues of HR, which is nothing but the ELC management that we spoke about, which is the cycle which starts after recruitment. So from onboarding till exit, that's the cycle that we are looking to cover, with some of our customers. And the idea is to not to, if you talk about bigger clients, if you talk about someone like an Agilent or someone like Times of India, so we can't be reinventing the wheel for them, because they are evolved organizations. They have their, like in HP, they already have their well-established HR processes, etc., etc. Re-engineering is required for a startup, for a mid-sized growing organization who has focused very well on its businesses, but somehow has forgotten HR. Like we just signed up with a client named Onboarding, which Sandeep was giving an example of just the other day, in fact yesterday. So there we have signed up. It's a manufacturing unit with a turnover of about 400 crores, right? Which is a good turnover, which by no means can be labeled as a startup, So it's a reasonable organization, growing organization, but somehow there's no focus on HR. There's no HR executive. Everything is being run by finance. And the MD says, when we met the MD, Nitin can add because he has kind of spearheaded that project. So the MD says that, I have about 100 people and all of them are reporting it to me. All of them come to me. चाय वाला भी अगर मशीन खराब हो जाती है तो वो मेरे पास आता है, सर चाय कैसे सर्व करूँ ऑफिस में, from a finance head. So that essentially tells you the story, that where they are currently sitting, which means a lot of order for us to mine and to tell them that what should they be doing. So we have signed up with them. We have kind of told them that, you know what, let us get your basic hygiene in order first. Let's not talk of moon. Let's not talk of succession planning, etc., etc., etc. Evolved people practices. Let's start with basics. Let us have some basic policies. Let us have your basic organization structure, which you are saying that all 100 people are coming to you, so there needs to be a structure. Let's have that. Let's attack some of your key positions, which are not being fulfilled. So that's the model that we've agreed with them, and that's where he has kind of understood that why should he be doing all this in the first place if he wants to move from a 400 crore to a 600 crore company or a 1000 crore company. He needs to do this, or else he can just run machines. He can't have people working for him. So he's understood that, and he's become sensitive to it. That's why we've signed up, which would be now led by Mr. SP Singh. So he will be the project manager, will be kind of going and interacting with him and further sensitizing, implementing the things that we want to do. And Nitin would be managing the overall project in terms of steering it. So we can move on. That has been a journey so far. Any questions? Feel free to ask. Any points?
So basically, we turned HR into a revenue generating engine for us, correct?
Yes.
We've been a BPM and HRIS. Now we've also started recruitment as a service.
Yes, yes. That has been the endeavor, and I must say that that has got everything to do with the fact that there is a culture of partnerships that we build. You know, so thanks to Sandeep, Vivek, the endeavor is very clear that, you know, we want to become a holistic, integrated service provider when it comes to HR and IT and F&A, of course. So in that endeavor, F&A, we are doing pretty much everything now that one can imagine, that we all saw through yesterday. In HR, we still have a way to go. So we have just touched upon transactional points to begin with: payroll, HRIS, compliances. Recruitment happened to be the next progression, or rather it should have been the other way around. But whatever, said and done. So that has been the endeavor, and
Even IT is actually a support to the main
internal customers as well as the
but it has also turned to become another revenue generating.
exactly. It has become an
So I see
enabler.
the support functions typically in the organization have been also turned into a revenue generating phase, correct? So it's dual. Within, sorry?
Quality or admin department also.
For internal customers,
And
for mine,
also, to external clients.
external clients, yes.
So mantra is whatever salary you're drawing from the company, you have to earn that outside from the market. Then you can join mine.
There is a multiplication factor also there.
Of course.
Very, very simplistic way of looking at it.
Yeah. Earn your salary.
Earn your bread and then kind of thrive on it if you can. So that has been the idea, but the culture of partnership is very, very communicable. You know, it kind of catches you. So when you see the likes of leaders doing things at, with their own hands, with the areas that they have never explored. For example, what BTS is a classic. No one, if 3 years back or 5 years back, I'm sure Vivek can say this, 5 years back someone would have told that, can you do the BTS? The answer may have been different. But as we evolve, as we bring in more subject matter experts, as we get exposed to stronger technologies, our confidence automatically builds. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, also, honestly, credit has to be given to the people who own these opportunities, because you may want to start these opportunities within the organization, but unless and until there are subject matter expertise is definitely one thing, but the attitude of running a service delivery operation has to be there. So all credit to our leaders in the teams that are running many of these verticals. They own these service delivery areas, and only then it's possible to actually move forward in that direction.
Yeah, I see a lot of entrepreneurial behavior in
Yes.
the company,
Yes.
in the leadership team, and generally in the company. And also see a lot of innovation. Willingness to create something, take on challenges, and then build something along the way.
Absolutely.
Problem solving attitude, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So we
Customer
love
की जो problem
seeing
है,
love
How-
seeing these
how can we
traits
solve
in
it?
people. Anybody who has the entrepreneurial, sort of
Streak.
acumen, opportunities can be created within the organization, and then we can see where it takes us.
So we have plethora of opportunities across all segments essentially, and as we go along, it's only increasing. As we get exposed to newer things, this is what we think. Okay, we can do this also. Why not? So, like-minded people come along, get along with the journey, and that's when we start things. So moving on to the structure that we have. So as I earlier mentioned, Nitin heads this practice for us, the recruitment practice. He has built his team, of course, to be able to deliver to all these key assignments. So there is a team of about 15 people that we currently have, which comprises of the account managers and the recruiters, right? So recruiters are the ones who actually deliver, who source, and then who kind of ensures that the candidate turns up for the interview. Account manager is someone who kind of engages with the customer, who drives the relationship, who ensures that the front ending happens, and the gap between what is required and what is delivered is zero, is zilch. So he or she does that, and Nitin overall manages the service delivery piece for us. He manages the health. I'm just kind of there to kind of enable them. ELC management is something which is a welcome addition to our piece, which I'm very happy to introduce Priyanka now, who has taken up this piece for us, who has already introduced her in the initial piece, so I would not want her to introduce her again, but she brings in a lot of consulting experience to the table. So she's worked with an HR consulting firm previously, straight after the campus. So she got exposed to the customers. She has worked with the mid-size and the bigger organizations and driven the consulting and execution on the basic HR processes, the life cycle processes, from onboarding to exit. So she will be the person who will be driving, who will be designing and conceptualizing the HR processes for the new assignment that we picked up, and Mr. Singh would be going and implementing that on the ground. So that's the structure. We are already in talks with a bigger player, with a bigger manufacturing giant, who are again looking to outsource their entire HR piece to us. So just to bring the name, I'm talking about Escorts. So we all know that it's an Indian MNC. It's one of the old organizations. So they have a hugely stacked HR team at this point. For 1,800 people, they have about 30 HR team members who are running their show, which is overly loaded for all practical reasons that they may want to. That's why their ideas. And now they want to offload that piece and plus bring in the efficiency into their existing HR processes, from recruitment to induction to managing the PMS cycle, administration, L&D, and the exit process. So we are at a very advanced stage with them, and we have given them the solution as to how we can do the on-site and the off-site model, where we'll have a team which will be deployed at their office, who will be like their extended HR team, who will be running these functions for them and bring in a lot of process efficiency. So that's the endeavor of this piece, the ELC management piece, which will be further built in our portfolio as we move along. Moving on. So in recruitment, broadly what we do, these are our service offerings. So we have an RPO model, which I spoke about, which is the exclusive business for us, which, to be honest, is the highest in the value chain, if you like. And then comes contingency services, which are kind of on and off kind of assignments. Like I gave an example of Burger King. So who comes back and says that, you know what, give me 100 people in next 2 months, and then I'll let you know whether to do it or not. So these are such assignments, cyclic. Whenever there is expansion, they come to you, you deliver, you move on. And then they come back to you again whenever they need you. No 100% commitment, no exclusive business. Contractual staffing is something which, as the name suggests, so temporary assignment, where a lot of organizations like to keep some of their workforce under this umbrella to manage their costs better, to get rid of their operational hassles in terms of managing their administration, PF, etc., etc., etc. So we do this piece. Agilent is a prime example where we are hiring about 40 people every month for them. We are hiring them and then we are taking them on our roles. We are running their administration, right? Executive search is again a premium business. So these are all leadership positions which you get from the bigger names or the startups, which of course have higher returns and which are niche positions. No easy thing to do. So in this space also we have made some inroads. So we have signed up with Wipro Technologies, and we are kind of doing their leadership positions now, you know. So we are directly dealing with their corporate team, which is based out of Bangalore. So these are our offerings that we do. Moving on.
What is the selling of all this? Is it the BDs?
Yeah, so it's a
BD is the common engine we have, right?
BD is the common engine, but so far I think we've been driving it ourselves. We are self-drivers.
Okay.
So I and
Then
Nitin kind of go out in the market, and then we reach to the customers through our relationships
But
or
eventually,
through.
what is the plan? Is it to get the BD team to
Yes,
also
yes,
sell?
yes. You've actually hit the right note. So the plan is to kind of take an organic support now. So we have, thankfully, we are building on our bidding team now. So a lot of our BD team members are joining. So now they have to kind of take the show forward, because thus far we've been able to drive on our own without virtual no BD support, if I may add. So either we have brought businesses through our relationships
Your own contacts.
or through the relationships which Mind has. Like Burger King was, Sandeep had a relationship. You know, British Telecom, Nitin had a relationship. Agilent, I had a relationship, plus Mind I also had a relationship. So these have been our channels so far. But now the idea is to hit the ground running, because the numbers that we are chasing now, vis-a-vis what we have done last year, it's about 100% jump, right? So that's when the BD has to go along, and BD has to really play a strong role in driving this piece for us. And we have a very strong case studies to reckon with, by the way. And feel free to kind of, you know, add or have some questions around it, right? So this is how we do the RPO. So we just don't follow the conventional channels. We have built upon some of the very strong unconventional channels like LinkedIn's of the world. So most of the mid to senior positions that we do in this segment, they are being done through channels which are non-job portals, which are not Naukri. So LinkedIn happens to be one of our key channels. Then we have some tie-up with campuses where we go out and we get campus hires. We have our internal database on our own that we have created. And then other than the channels, we focus a lot on the screening, and not just one level screening. There is about multi-level screening that we follow, depending on the levels of position that we are hiring. For example, if you are hiring for an executive level, then the recruiters who are subject matter experts, they screen and they take it forward. But if you are hiring for manager and above positions, that's when the multi-screening comes into the picture. So recruiter does the screening, then account manager screens, and then it goes to the customer. That's why our strike rate has been reasonably well. So out of every 5 resumes being shared, we managed to break through at least 4 out of those 5 resumes with the customer, and 1 eventually gets hired. So 5:1 is our overall ratio. So these are some of our clients that I've already taken you through in the beginning. So as you can see, there's a mix across all industries, right? So there's no a particular industry which figures in this. So you have the likes of Burger King to a G4S. I forgot to mention, we have started doing assignment for G4S again by the virtue of the fact that we've already signed up with payroll, and we have done an innovation in the form of leave-in attendance, automating their entire leave-in attendance for their guards. So that has struck a chord with them, and by the virtue of which we have kind of taken their another pain area when we met them. So they said that, you know what, we're not able to do hiring for our finance shared service center. We're not getting good candidates. We're not able to hire our sales folks, you know, for different regions. And we've reached out to everyone pretty much in the industry, from small time player to bigger player. So then they came to us. We did nothing. We just closed most of the positions that they were not able to close in our first 2 drives only. So I think Nitin can add few things to it as to how did we do things differently.
As to more of a screening, and obviously, financial shared services, one of the core services of our areas as well. So we have a huge data repository. Our team understands financial shared service very well, and then there was a process of screening which we kept at all levels. So that's why within 1.5 months we have almost generated a revenue of 5 lakhs plus. And now we are one of their preferred vendors for all the positions. So it's not only the financial shared service what we are working on. In fact, all their leadership hirings are already with us now, which is 25-30 lakhs kind of a bracket. Not only from finance but also from their sales and other corporate functions. Sorry. Yes. These are very critical because sales is basically the revenue generator for them.
Guards are sold at a very low value, right?
Yeah.
No.
Kind of numbers, 1 lakh.
They have a differential policy, I tell you. At all, they see the client and then quote. The guard you will get for industry and the guard embassy will get is a totally different person.
And they charge premium. Jeff,
So
one of the
over here they will charge minimum
premium.
plus a little bit 5%, but the embassy they will charge 30,000. He's a different man altogether.
Same man who goes there on a weekend perhaps.
No. See the
quality
of the people is different.
It's different.
They assess the client, what he is going to buy, then offer the person.
So G4S again is a welcome addition, courtesy our good work already with them in the other things that we do. I've already taken most of the names, but Skytech is our international venture that we've just started. So it's a pharmaceutical company which is setting up its operations in Malaysia and Dubai. So we are supporting them in hiring some of the key positions in Malaysia. So again, Nitin and his team has already cracked a couple of positions with them. So that's a welcome breakthrough in the international piece.
Yeah, so we become international.
Yeah, trying to, but of course there is a long way to go. So something to start with.
Start is there.
So that's our international piece, and some of the assignments that we handle currently today, I've already explained. So British Telecom, we've signed up with them through their hiring. Times of India is our leading media company. QSR chain, Burger King, we've already told you. Agilent, again, we've already discussed. Leading healthcare is nothing but the Malaysian piece that we've just started. And then the last but not the least, the ELC client, the Om Darshan that we've just started, which is our breakthrough in the other segment. So these are some of our key assignments in hand currently. Moving on. Now I would request Nitin to take all of you through some of our differentiators that we bring to the table, so that I can grab some water as well in the meantime.
We have a couple of identified business partners with supporters. This is on a payable model on actuals, or maybe at times for very key clients, we do it, we offer them as an additional support to them. Background checks, we again have a third party, tie up where we offer them background checks again on actual basis, which is, chargeable. And, so it's with First Advantage, which is one of the well known background check organization. Post joining follow up is a very critical part which none of them does, and that's where we, really, thought that this can be a addition. So, okay, so what we do is once a candidate is on board, the first 3 months or 5 months is very critical for a candidate to be on board and be comfortable and make sure he does not leave. So in case if he has certain issues, he won't be pretty comfortable to speak to his seniors or the HR because he's very new in the system. So that's where the first 3 months our team are regularly in touch with the candidate to make sure in case if he's feeling he's not comfortable, we can quickly speak to his superior or someone in the HR where we are in touch and ask them to have a word with the candidate to make sure he does not leave the organization, because minimum we have a 6 months kind of a replacement cycle. So in case if the candidate moves out, it's a loss for us, a revenue loss for us. So that's where a post joining follow up is a very critical part of the entire hiring piece. On the technology size, sourcing strategy is something which everyone does, because basis on the project and the position we have to strategize how we are going to hire this person, how we are going to identify professionals for it. Employee branding is something which we do rigorously. We post a lot of things on LinkedIn, we do a lot of job postings on Naukri, Quicker and all, and this is with permission from the client. Application tracking tool, most of the organizations are using it. We are in the implementation stage, so it would take another 10 days before we can go live on the technology. And once we are live, this is something which we are going to match with the Adecos and ABCs of the world, where everything would be online. So data repository, so application tracking system is something once we have a requisition open, we would give it to one of the team members, and the entire life cycle of the applicant would be tracked online. And then the dashboards, MIS, and everything can be generated, pulled out, on a click of a button.
Of the candidate.
Of the candidate. So for example, we have a position. I received 10 positions. I would allot each position to one of the recruiters, or multiple position to one of the recruiters. Then she would punch in the CVs, and the entire tracking would be done online. So even after 5 months, if Wipro asked me that you have, we have interviewed this person, what was the status? So we can go online and they can do. Even we can share a login with the client as well, so they can log in and check the tracking as well. Also, the best part of this would be, we would be able to create a data repository, which is missing as of now. We are doing manually everything. So there are folders, and we go through each folder and try to find out a CV. But data repository coming into thing, this would work like a Naukri. So any person which clicks on a Naukri CV can be done through the software. So if he or she is clicking on a CV, that would automatically create a data repository. So I guess 6 months down the line, we will have so much of data available with us that we won't be using Naukri much, what we are doing as of now. Yeah. So there are many other advantages, automatically dashboard pullouts and analysis and other things. Yeah. So that piece. Dashboards is something we are still doing, more of a Excel based dashboard. So clients like Wipro and Times of India require a weekly MIS where the entire analysis is done, how many positions were open, how many were closed, how many CVs sent, what was the strike ratio, so all those. So we still share them on a weekly basis, but it's more manual. But with the technology coming in, I guess this piece would be automated. On the cost retainer,
Clients have a tool, isn't it? Clients have a portal where
general
they
clients
track.
have, so Wipro have a tool, Synergy, Agilent have a tool, but then other clients don't have it. And we can't use Wipro tools because they are on their own servers, and that is only for the employees. But
Uploading
yes,
the
so yes, that's the only thing what we can do. But we can't pull out the reports, we can't pull out the analysis and all. So this technology would help us to do that as well.
As soon as the position gets open in their system, it comes to our recruiter. So with this technology that we are bringing in, it will be kind of eventually, not now, we'll have to kind of improvise on that with the vendor. We'll integrate with their tool. So the positions, as soon as they get approved, the requisitions, that will be automatically be sent through a pushover to our software, and the recruiter will have the access, and he or she will start working on it immediately, so that it kills time. It's all about time. It's all about turnaround time here. So as soon as the requisition opens, clients expects you to pick up and act on it, and send resumes
So
within
if you
24
have
hours.
this tool, then you will be the first one to get, right?
Yes.
If you don't have the tool, then you have to wait
Then
for
yeah,
manual
so
methods
the
to-
manual process, they send you over the email, you take your time, you assimilate,
That's the
then you
benefit
turn
of
around.
having your application.
Yeah,
working.
yeah, yeah.
Got it.
So on the cost, retainer is something what we charge and we offer to the clients. So we have already done that, with a few startups, now with Om Drishin and Times of India even. So we charge in advance amount because it's an investment for us to build up the entire strategy and the, to have a separate team for the specific projects. So that's where we do this.
But we have the flexible
Flexible.
cost models, so one size may not fit all, as they say. So you need to have the flexibility to be able to offer to different customers. So if a bigger client may not be comfortable giving anything to you upfront. He'll say that, what, I have 20 vendors here. Why should I pay advance to you? Unless you're going for an RPO, that's a different place. So we kind of improvise. So let's say a startup where there's a lot of risk, where it's not easy to sell for them. That's when we say that, we will be putting our best resources. So we'll be investing upfront for you. So we need to take something in advance from you. And as we get along, then we regularize, and then we move along. But we have the flexibility. Okay.
On the hiring rates, everyone have a slab rate. We also do have. Gilbert Tweets, everyone knows they charge very high, 20-24%. But then, that's where, we generally win the race because we know we are still new in the market, so we can still play with our rates and everything. So that's where we, have an edge as compared to Adecos and ABCs and Google. Basis on the assignment and long-term visibility and the ROI, we generally take a call on the percentages.
Yeah. Nathan can continue.
So these are some of the key skills which have been recruited so far. When we talk about finance professionals with 2 to 18 years of experience with a CAI, CWI, MBA qualification, FATCA is something, or P2P R2Rs and delivery lead R2R. These are the positions which have been cracked from the finance background specifically. And these are for clients like Wipro, G4S, Shalbao, Agilent and Keysight, where we hire such people from the finance background specifically. It's not that we don't hire such people or finance manager position for other clients, but these clients majorly hire these kind of people.
We've done volumes for them essentially.
Yes.
Volumes as well as complex solutions.
On the IT side, this is one of the big pieces which is growing for us as well, because we are eyeing on a lot of startups, and generally these startups are from an e-commerce background. And when we talk about e-commerce, the base for them is the technology. So that's where we generate a lot of IT positions for ourselves from such clients. So SAP professionals, and this SAP professionals was for Times of India. We hired 4 SAP professionals, very senior guys, 15-18 lakhs with 4-5 years of experience, those kind of guys. Then product heads and product managers, solution architects, all these are from their technology e-commerce background. For clients like Times of India, Domain, Stitchword, Morning Plum, all these are startup companies. Sales position, QSR, which is the quick service restaurants and the ITS industry. We serve Times of India, Burger King and British Telecom. A position in sales or quality and training for their BPO arm, and QSR and flow managers for chains like Burger King. Right now we are doing it for Cybers as well, which is the Carl's Jr., the organization which have brought Carl's Jr., the another burger chain in India now. We are hiring for them as well. Yeah. And then there are
These
other
what kind of
corporate.
people?
Sorry.
These are what, graduates?
These are simple graduates or undergrads as well at times. So Burger King, it was
good
more.
communication skills. Right?
Yes. For Burger King, it was a purely volume hiring where we were hiring +2 pass outs and people who have had some exposure with Pizza Hut or McD's and all. But for cybers, we are more hiring at the mid and senior level, floor managers, restaurant managers, cash managers, all those people.
How much are they paid?
So, 25,000 to 40, 50,000, those kinds of
Guys on the counter?
Yes. So the guys on the counter are executive, but then there is a floor manager as well, which manages them.
But the guys
Operations
on the counter,
manager.
how much do they
They are 12,000, 13,000, from 8,000 to 12,000.
Basically,
This
the
is on their
minimum wages.
experience.
As applicant.
Minimum wages
Minimum
is
wages
the
applicable.
start. Yes.
Oh.
Like in Mumbai, you have a minimum wage of
Acha.
10,000.
Oh,
So that's the minimum.
I see. By city it is defined, is it?
Yes.
Or city has a minimum.
And then there are other corporate functions, which is the marketing, finance, IT, HR. So we do it for VLCC, Omdrishin. Now we have started hiring Dormant, Spice Group. All these are corporate functions, generic functions, what we hire for.
Okay.
So that's all.
Any questions anyone has?
I have a few suggestions.
Yes.
So there are a few areas in HR which are upcoming.
Yeah.
For example, I was reading a HR magazine the other day. So exit interview management, people have started outsourcing that as well. Because when we do exit interviews internally, employees do not tell the actual reason of leaving the company.
Sure.
So now people have started outsourcing it to other organizations. They conduct it and do not share the complete details with the organization. Anonymously they collect the data. And then they give a summary of the reasons why people are leaving. And organizations are actually struggling. So large organizations do not actually know why their attrition rate is high, because people do not tell the truth. Someone says that I am leaving because I am getting a better salary, I am getting a better position. But those are the after effects. Nobody tells what was the reason that
What was the actual reason?
prompted them to actually look for
What were the triggers
what was the trigger and why did they actually even go out to the market.
in the first place? Yeah.
So that is an area which is niche and upcoming. That is
Very good point. Even I managed to follow that piece that you're hinting. I read also that this piece is getting very actively accepted now, especially with the bigger players who have bigger volumes, bigger teams, and of course higher churn ratio.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Actually, you can sell this point, new activity which you can do in a little professional manner. In fact, to add on what you say, the immediate reason why an employee will leave, if you ask him after 1 month, it will be different. If you ask him after 3 months, it will be different.
correct.
So it's only after 3-4 months that you will really come to know the truth.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
another area. So my previous organization, we were building a HR analytics platform. Initially we used it internally. So we did a lot of analysis, and again on the exit side, we tried to find out the reasons. So it was not based on exit interviews, but based on other parameters. So I'll tell you one of the findings that we found out.
Yeah.
So there is a median salary that we used to have in that organization. For example, there were bands in the organization. All band 5s, let's say, were at 30 lakhs. So there were a few at 60 lakhs also, and a few at 20 lakhs also. So they tried to find out which people are actually leaving. So people who were close to the median, there was only 10% people who were leaving in the first year. But people who had salaries, 50% above the median, 70% of the people who were 50% above the median within 1 year. So the HR.
Wow. 70%.
Yes. So the HR policies then were revisited, and then there was a cap put on who do we hire and how much above the median can we go, and that actually reduced that attrition level also.
You did that through a tool?
Yes, we created a tool in-house. So we, it was built on open source platforms, and an analytic platform called R was used, which analyzed all the data and came up with this. So this is something which we can build and sell to our customers. They can actually find out, not just exit,
Yeah, yeah.
but there could be so many
Other things also.
other things which could be done.
No, fantastic. I think you've touched very prominent points, to be honest. Analytics is the way forward,
Yes.
as I see. Big data and other things, whether you speak of HR, whether you speak of any other areas. So honestly, our progression is tilted towards these things that you're mentioning. And I think it's a very good food for thought for the two ladies who are sitting here from the HR team. One, to kind of see how we can implement it internally, and the other as to how we can do it for some of our customers. So we'll be working, to be honest, very closely with you now that you've touched it. So you've got to help us bring it to the execution also. But very good point. Very good. Thanks.
I had a suggestion.
Yeah.
You now 360-degree performance performance reviews are also seen outsourced to
Yeah.
the third party. Because similarly, as the exit interview, people are not giving a
You will be more independent and more strong.
independent. Yeah. So I seen it happening to at least two companies.
Really?
Which two companies? Just share the name.
No, I mean, Sterlite was conducting it through
Sterilite?
Star Technology in my last organization. They are given a 360 assessment performance reviews to the person. I mean, he will come and he will gather the inputs for all reviewers. I mean, for a manager, for upstream and downstream also. So, he will then share with management and the person.
Sure. Good point. Absolutely. But yeah, the point is that organizations are actually maturing to that.
Yeah.
Not many organizations are open towards it, because let's face it, when you have a 360-degree analysis of how you do, what you do, etc., 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 the openness and the maturity has to come from within.
And the question would be more on the boss.
Then it opens all the layers, top, front, right, bottom. 360 degree तो पूरा सर्कल है ना सर?
Yeah. I mean,
तो पूरा सर्कल कवर करेगा आपका. बॉस का बॉस सब आएंगे.
All around.
yes.
So it depends on that factor also. It may not be as simplistic as to kind of let's pick up something like what he's saying. But nevertheless, few organizations are maturing.
Right.
They are looking to, as they are evolving, as they get exposed to more geographies, more diverse set of manpower to work with. So it's imperative for them to have a very transparent and open feedback systems.
Yeah.
So they are. I know also a few organizations who have done it. But yeah, food for thought. So we can surely see how we can do it. Okay, so moving on. That was recruitment. Very quickly, this is a very new piece, not even 2 months old. So recruitment is still 1 year old. So this is what we've started doing. When I said we've signed up with a customer to do all this, this is what we're looking to do for him or her. So onboarding, PMS, L&D, hire to retire management of documentation, etc. Employee programs. So of course we won't do everything in one go. So it depends on what do we want to do, how do we want to do, and what are the phases. So it can be transitioned into different intervals. Let's say a customer like what we've just given an example. His pain areas are not L&D at this point. His pain area is not CNB administration. A guy who does not even have an offer letter format, how can you expect him to work on these things? Learning and development, the training piece, compensation and benefits. So, we touch upon all these things. With the Scots, we are in talks with them to do all this for them end to end, the administration piece of it. And while you run the process, that's when the consulting piece also comes into the picture. For example, you help them design those processes, design the org structure, design the policies, design the framework as to how will you do things, etc., etc. So this is what Priyanka will drive it with a lot of our external customers, hopefully down the line. Okay, can move on. Yeah, so basically, I don't want to kind of rate each part to you. So essentially, onboarding and induction is nothing what you guys are going through right now. So it is categorized into 3 key categories. What do you do before pre-joining? What do you do during joining? What do you do after joining? So you've got to do all the things as per the checklist in a time frame driven environment with TAT, and deliver it consistently to the customer. That this is what we've done. These were the defaulters. These were the right doers, etc., etc., etc. So that's the service which is being outsourced to us. That's the process which is being given to us to run this piece and improvise on this successfully. PMS, again, doing the entire cycle. So right from the KRA setting to reviews to concluding it, and then running a feedback process. So we do the designing part as well as the implementation for some of the customers. L&D, training and development. So again, defining the needs, understanding what are the pain areas, what are the developmental needs of customers, and then designing a framework, coming up with a training calendar, and then implementation. So Priyanka carries a lot of experience in this area. She's been doing it for a lot of the big value and mid-sized clients in some of her assignments previously. Okay, and then comes the other administrative areas, like maintaining the files, employee master, headcount, exit process, conducting exit interviews, FNFs. Exit interview happens to be one of our service offerings, but what you're saying is a level next in terms of driving analysis and action plans out of it, and then sensitizing the management. So we do it at a certain level, but yeah, to make most of it and to make it a standalone practice is what one can look to build towards. Okay, so that's where I can request Priyanka to add a few things to it, because she runs this piece. So how do we provide the consulting element in these areas? So if you can help everyone know through some examples.
Sure.